Three, two, one.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, granitegrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from granitegrok.com.
Grok Talk.
And it is news and opinion you could only get from granitegrok.com. Welcome back. I'm Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy, Mike Rogers, Kirk McNeil, and Kevin Bloom. And we are today, let me turn that on for you. We are Grok Talk. Grok Talk's a constantly changing sphere of people around a table having a conversation about whatever piques our interest.
And we're still the most dangerous and best armed podcast in the nation.
Especially right now, probably.
Probably so.
Yeah. Very much. So, it is, yeah. Come by. If you're afraid of guns, this is not the place to be.
Yeah, knock first.
Yeah, well,
oh, I don't know. I think everybody in here is being very safe and responsible with their
We are very
firearms.
safe and responsible with our firearms. And you can come by and we'll sit down and talk to you about guns or anything you want.
Oh, but those liberals, they say, these people own a pub. There's alcohol there. Alcohol and guns don't mix.
Well, I try not to mix my alcohol with my gun because it causes
rust.
Yeah, you ever try to stir one? You get gun oil in there. It's just horrible.
It's just dumb. Anyway, it's funny. We've had all these crazy liberals coming out and saying all these crazy things. Some of them are even. Some of them are even. Some of them are even in charge of things. And every time they say something, I'm like, oh yeah, just like Vermont. Right? Gangs are going to come up and attack citizens. Oh, yeah, just like Vermont. We're going to have shootouts. Oh, yeah, just like Vermont. Everybody's like, they don't have that in Vermont. I'm like, no kidding.
Well, they said that the roads would be rivers of blood in Florida when they introduced looser gun laws. Yes. All the old people are still alive, and now in Illinois,
and driving.
Yeah, that's more of a problem than carrying the guns.
Did you probably saw in the news where a gentleman who was 92 years old ran into several people, and they decided not to charge him. Man, I mean, what's he got to do? Drive up on a sidewalk and run into a pedestrian?
Well,
he can't even get busted for that.
He's got to run over. Right? He's got to run over a woman, a black, or a Muslim, and then it's a hate crime.
How about what about ducks?
Ducks?
You can run over five
run
ducks.
Over
You kill baby ducks and nothing happens to you.
No, you just get to open up a restaurant
without a license.
Wagwan, easy.
You're right. That's the thing about, and you probably saw the story this morning that came up about the in the FBI Academy that one of the people that was taking instruction, it says his firearm unintentionally discharged and shot him in the leg. I was like, excuse me. So, of course, the gun was sorry later. And it said it'll never do it again. Yeah. But it just unintentionally discharged itself because that's how accidents... Oh, was it an accidental discharge?
Some people do have problems with AD, and there's no medicine you can take. It just...
AD?
Accidental discharge. It's not ED.
Thank you. I'm not going there.
So, anyway...
Thank you.
Please, we were talking on the break about how we were going to come back in, and this isn't it. So
right, we did, and we were talking about how during the Revolution, or before the Revolution, the British would seize funds from whoever had them under the theory that you must be a smuggler. So therefore, your gains were ill-gotten. And going back even further to the witchcraft trials, your property was accused of a crime of being allied with Satan, so therefore we need your ranch.
Right. So
which would remove the Satanism.
No doubt. It had to be ritually purified, like at a sheriff's sale or something.
With civil asset forfeiture.
Right, yes.
Few people recognize how that is a ritual purification method. But the other thing that we were saying is that this weird presumption that because you have property, because you have cash, that you must be involved in some nefarious activity is just crazy to me. And I think it's one of those big disconnects that public employees, no matter how honorable their intentions might be, have a bit of a disconnect with people who live and operate in the real world where sometimes exchanges are cash, sometimes exchanges are barter, sometimes exchanges are services being bartered back and forth. So if you've got stuff that you can't directly account for by saying, yes, I got this paycheck with all these things taken out of it, and then it went directly into my bank account, and blah, 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 that you must be guilty of something. We'll just accuse
and of course
the property.
You are guilty.
And sooner or later, you will be guilty of something.
No one is innocent.
Well, you may chuckle as you say that, Kevin, but I think more and more as we go through all the blogs that we do on a daily basis, we are starting to see that change from innocent until proven guilty only being said in the court of law. That you see with the rise of the social media, the shaming for political correctness infractions, not what I would consider real stuff. Are you cheating on your wife? Are you doing this? I mean, behaving really badly according to the traditional values that we used to have. Oh, the Democrats and progressives celebrate that kind of stuff.
Well, Ayn Rand once said that really the multiplication of all the laws was because they wanted everyone to be guilty of something so that they could put you in jail when they wanted to. And even when I was a teenager, I thought that why does government so interested in buses? What's this public transportation thing? Why do we need all those buses? And I realized they just want you on the bus. They don't really care if you go anywhere. They know you're on the bus.
Well, the problem is that
Skip, he's on the bus.
Like up in my area in the Lakes region, the Winnipesaukee bus service. I wrote a little bit of a series of posts a few years ago going into how much is this costing us and how many riders are in there, because they'd go by and I'd count the people, 1, 2. And after that came out, a couple papers picked it up. What did they do? They tinted all the windows.
Wow. Yeah,
yes, so the solution to wasting money is to spend more money on tinting windows.
But they now do that nationwide.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good point. And actually, I want, if I could, just segue into yet another tangent that's very related to everything you're talking about.
We're ADD bloggers. We do it all the time.
Okay, here's a big problem. We have a really massive problem in documentation right now. This has come up, and I was talking to some of our reps this morning about it, and I said, what happened with the poker bill? And what happened with this bill? What happened that when we look on the docket online, and it says the bill was exec on the 18th. Well, what happened? What was the vote? And then I contacted a member of the committee and said, so what happened with the exec? And he says, I don't think it happened yet. So that people on the committees don't know the events that we had with Jim Spillane's bill. Poker bill was a great example. It came out in 2 different calendars, and it was scheduled on 2 different days. The most recent one that said it was a Friday. The one before that said it was a Thursday. The House sent out 2 emails, one of which said it was canceled, and the other one said, no, it isn't canceled. So the opposition showed up on Thursday and spoke against the bill, and we found out about it afterwards. And the sponsor wasn't notified either. We had somebody in there, and they said, well, we came in at the time it was supposed to be there on Friday. And they said, well, we heard it once. We're not going to hear it again.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you could blame a little bit of this on the weather, except that I'm pretty sure that if you ran for office here, you do realize that you live in New Hampshire, and that occasionally it's going to snow.
So, of course, Jim was thinking, oh, they're after me. They're on to me. They know I'm a conservative, and they're going to go get me, which is probably true. But on the other hand, it's happened to everybody else. And I was talking to people that work in the education department. They say it's constant. The docket's always wrong. It's not updated. They don't update the records to let you know when executive sessions are going to be or what the progress of the bills is.
Is this a long-term problem, or is this new?
This is new. This is brand new.
This is all under the reign of Jasper.
Well, last session... and I know there's been a little change, in the House clerks, but he was there for many years.
Right. He's not inexperienced in that office. He's just inexperienced in that position. But I would hesitate to lay that at his doorstep.
But they're saying that some of the reps are saying it's the committees, that the leaders of the committees not getting the information out to the system. So I do not know whether that's true or not.
So we need somebody in the clerk's office to cough up some
answers,
some anonymous tips of some sort.
Right. Let's work on that one.
Hello, New Hampshire House Clerk's Office. My email is steve@graniterock.com. Okay. So
So that was a fun one. We're also interested in industrial hemp.
Hemp, of course. We like to talk about industrial hemp because it comes up every year.
Yeah, it seems since 1990. Well, that was funny. In committee, Representative Robertson got up, and he's on the committee, and so he said, "Well, I just want to, talk about this," and gets behind the counter. He said, "I introduced this bill 20 years ago," and he said, "It's about time." I keep hearing about it every session, which it sounds like it's going to go. The feds have already said, "Well, all right, you can do it."
In the last farm bill, they basically said if the state
okay.
says it's okay to grow hemp, then it's okay to grow hemp.
But the state has to say it's okay first.
And as we've talked about before, where this isn't the smoking hemp, this is hempcrete, this is rope, this is lots of uses for this industrial material.
Concrete.
It's not a drug.
Feed for dairy cows, which is 31% of our agricultural product here in New
So,
Hampshire.
this is a perfect, this isn't, reefer madness. It's hempcrete. It's hempcrete.
That's right. We want some.
Rope. It's, it's this
Clothes.
very useful thing that we can grow, and for you in the left, tax if that's what you're into. Really. Is that what we need to do? We need to bribe you a little. You could tax it. Oh, I could. I should support that.
Well, we did send the whole committee a link to the video Hemp For Victory that was produced by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in 1942.
Yeah.
Hemp For Victory.
Not enough hemp there, but it went very well, and we had speakers on the left.
Well, that's good because every year we talk about this bill or a version of this bill, and it's like it's not nobody's excited about it.
I would say I believe the hearing went better this time around. It seemed like the folks on the committee were mostly better informed and much less adversarial than some of them have been in the past.
Right, no one spoke against the bill.
Well, that's good.
At all, which is rare for anything.
And they didn't retain it.
No, they didn't retain it, and they didn't limit. Yeah, they had a lot of people speaking for it, and they never said, well, we just want you to shut up after about 30 seconds or whatever.
We think it's a great bill, but we don't like you, so we're going to retain it. No.
Right.
Yeah, I had a good time when I stood up for the hearing on HB 636, and the chair was just saying, well, all we have now is individuals, and so I stood up and supposedly didn't have anyone who was representing a group, and then he noticed that I was standing up directly in front of him and said, oh, I see we have someone from the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance here. So, and then he said, if you watch the tape, he says, well, you have 3 minutes or less written on your card. And he said, 3 seconds is a lot shorter than 3 minutes. I said, yeah, it is.
Wow.
I said, wouldn't that be nice, huh?
So you just, is that civil asset forfeiture? You seized my 3 minutes?
That was kind of like, I don't think this is going to work. So I kept it short and just said, basically the police say the same thing as they did. First they started out with heroin. And then they go directly from that to, we never do this, and if you make us stop, it will cost us a lot of money.
That's the thing that made me laugh when I read your email.
Oh, yeah.
They don't do it, but if you don't let them do it, they'll lose a lot of money.
And they said that.
Right.
How?
There's usually about 15 to 20 minutes of other stuff that separates those two statements.
Right.
But every single time, someone representing, I'm just going to go with the police. Sometimes it's the Department of Justice. Sometimes it's somebody in law enforcement will say those two things, bookending their entire testimony.
And always in the sort of the way it's, well, that money we get from that money, heck, I couldn't wash my dog with that much money. I wouldn't even stop and pick it up if I saw it on the pavement. We can't be bothered with these little tiny amounts of money, and that's all we ever see. But don't take it away. Please.
Don't take it away. That's how we...
Because it's our money now. So you thought it was your money, but now it isn't.
Well, actually, that brings up the important point, is that are we getting to that tipping point, especially with progressives? Well, with progressives, they're well past the tipping point. Whose money is it? Really?
Right.
And we're seeing, have things changed since the Revolutionary War times? The Brits were saying, hey, you must have done something wrong. It's our money. We're the government.
That brings up another bill, though, and I think this is a perfect segue, right? They do keep acting like it's their money. And I suppose they did print it at some point in time, so maybe that's where the argument comes from, which brings up the Bitcoin bill, which is a great little segue as far as alternative currencies and being able to pay your taxes, your fines, or your contractors in things like silver and gold and bitcoins.
And the opposition is saying blood's going to run in the streets.
They are.
Really will.
They're like, man, if you make it so that we can't track the money, then people will just start killing each other for the money. That makes a lot of sense.
And since you can't track it, you won't even know if that's why they killed him.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
What could be worse than that?
Oh,
for us not to know where
horrible.
all the money is
That's
at
horrible.
any given time.
We're going to take 60 seconds. We'll come back.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at gerardatlarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
Singing the asset forfeiture blues. In the Market Basket parking lot.
The police are doing the happy dance, the happy chair. Yeah, I got to change the happy chair dance. Yes.
We got your money. Okay, so enough of that.
But that's more fun.
Yeah, well, poker's fun.
Poker, you want to talk about poker?
Poker is fun.
Yes.
It's true.
We touched on it briefly.
Yeah, Jim explains. Well, it's real simple, Bill. It just says that poker shall be defined as a game of skill with respect to RSA 647-2.
And anybody who plays poker will tell you that they want to play with people who have no skill. So that tells you right there.
And we're back to civil
Right.
That is a much more civil way to forfeit your assets.
Yeah.
Right.
Look, it's a voluntary taxation.
It's
and we'll get into Dan McGuire's bill about video poker. I did not realize what a cool bill that was. Okay. You know that it's allowing 6 slot machines in any place that's licensed to sell alcohol, but the money is used to offset property taxes.
Ooh.
It's okay. All right. Granted, it's now.
What
it's
a way to
taxation.
get somebody else to pay your property tax.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Maine and Vermont will pay all of our property taxes. That just seems fair.
Yeah. See, my only problem with that stuff is that if somebody spends all the rent money or the mortgage money and all that other stuff, bad decisions have bad consequences. We all are going to be on the hook for paying the social cost of that, and that's where if somebody wants to throw money at it, let them do it. But the problem is, then some poor, good-hearted sap is going to say, "Oh, then we have to take care of their family." No, because they're just going to go do it again.
No, it's going to be worse than that. They're going to say now you have a social obligation to go gamble your paycheck, so that you can take it all and then give it back to you in smaller
Actually,
amounts.
we already do that. It's called FICA.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to spend all the money on hookers and blows. So too bad for you.
That's the Secret Service.
That's the EBT cards. Well,
those are the ones that got caught.
Who gave EBT cards to the Secret Service?
And the GSA, Government Services Administration.
So poker's cool, and this basically it's illegal to play a game at home.
And somebody tell Joe Biden we're talking about poker as in the game of
chance
cards.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not polka.
It's not polka.
Right. We are not going to polka.
No polka.
But
I don't have any polka, sorry.
We can have it would change things enormously, and we'd get essentially a California style thing where you have game room. People will start up card rooms around the state, and this is without a big $70 million casino.
Will there be drinking there because people with guns will show up and it'll be a bloody mess.
That's a fun thing because gambling is forbidden right now at any place that serves alcohol. But strangely enough, if you define poker as not gambling, then why not? And we did mention this to the committee. We said you can play euchre for money, you can play bridge for money, and you can play Magic the Gathering for money. But you can't play poker for money.
Mm-hmm. Now, doesn't Maggie want to put Keno machines into bars?
I'm down with that.
I haven't
I
asked
mean,
her.
I don't want.
I don't know.
I don't think it should be forced. It shouldn't be mandatory Keno machines. But
Yeah,
you know,
this
we're
was
all right with
this
that.
is Governor Maggie, the Red Hassan.
Yes.
Well, she can. I'd let her
She's
put a
keen
Keno
on
machine in.
Right. Yeah.
Sure, I got no problem with that.
Keno is definitely one of those games played by people who don't understand the odds.
Yeah,
It's kind
don't
of like
do math.
the New Hampshire lottery
It's
in
an
that
idiot.
respect.
It's an idiot attraction.
It's an income
tax
tax
on
for people who
people
are bad at math.
That's right.
Yes.
There you go.
We did have for the poker bill.
For voting.
Yeah,
Right.
there a gentleman did show up to testify in favor of the poker bill, and who is a mathematics professor here in New Hampshire, and he explained it quite well. Did a very good job of laying it out for everybody, just how the math adds up and why this is definitely not a game of chance.
And many of the committee members did say that, well, it may be a game of skill, but not the way I play it.
So we invited them
everybody
to a poker game.
spend
At least they were
We
honest.
played
Yeah.
in school games too, and
We're
yes,
going to take
we've
a
had
break
nights.
and we're going to play a few hands.
Yeah.
Everybody get
Like
your wallets
that.
out.
Yeah. Do you guys ever bring cameras to these hearings?
Bill Alleman actually does a great job.
Yes, he does.
And we do have to post. You sent me the link to the video,
Yeah,
Biker Bill, and I do have it. I just didn't get a chance to put it up.
he's got a real cool old Harley too,
He does. Yeah,
Yes.
I like Biker Bill.
and
All right,
he
so-
does that free. By the way, he doesn't
Oh,
charge
yeah. Oh, yeah.
anything
Oh,
to do that. He's
like
a
us.
volunteer.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. He's a volunteer, and he goes in and he.
Except he goes up to the
takes-
State House with a camera and records stuff. So,
And boy, if you're WMUR and you get in front of him, you look out. You got just cut off the wrong guy.
All right, we got about 5 minutes left. Do you want to talk about beer?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's talk about
talk about beer.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Now you can tell them why I'm saying that.
Well, Kevin has done tons of hard work over the years with Nano Brewery bills, and now it's time for him to profit from
It's
that.
not Nana, it's Nano.
Nano, yes.
Although that
Sure.
might be a good marketing spin if you got somebody's grandma to open a Nano brewery.
Nana's Brewery.
Nana's
I like it.
Nano brewery, a Nana.
Nana pudding.
So let's talk about beer.
So
We will.
what's the name of your?
It is called Area 23.
Do you have a camera on me, please?
And
Oh, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. You can
Closer.
shoot that.
Closer. 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 Let's get all of.
How wide is the angle on that lens?
Not much.
No, well,
It's basically your head.
my head. Great. See, I don't like being videotaped.
We're going to be
that's good.
tattooed with Area 23 on our heads. Sort of a marketing
Yeah.
tool.
See, bad at math, half of Area 51.
It was no. We explained that. We told them. They said, "How'd you come up with that number?" And we said, "Well, we added Area 51 to building 19 and a half, divided by pi, and rounded it up to the nearest whole prime number." And we're not good at math.
It's either that or that's,
Bravo! 2 points.
Yep. It's either that or that's the number of Monty Python sketches we can do off the cuff.
And then we started talking about the 23rd hexagram of the I Ching, which is very interesting, and we had to explain what the I Ching was. But it's kind of cool because the 23rd hexagram is basically it's Earth over mountain.
Yes.
And it indicates the I Ching was written for princes, and it's an advice book for princes, and it has hexagrams in there, either a solid line or a broken line. And so if you want to see what the number means, you look in the book and you look for that symbol of the 23, and it means essentially that it's a volcano, that it's going to blow up.
Right.
So it has a good, nice connotation. And it says, in the I Ching, it says, and the worst sort of people, the existing order will be overthrown, and the worst sort of people are going to take over. Oh, that would be all of us. That's my interpretation of what it means. So I look at it as an optimistic kind of thing. So we're going to have a lot of different kinds of beer. We want to have 4.
To quote Bill Murray, raining cats and dogs. No, cats and dogs living together.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's going to happen.
Total chaos.
And you did say in the pre-show that you might be able to do podcasting from there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We've actually done a couple of podcasts from there already. We're setting up the office so that it's got, some acoustic foam and, nice table in there.
Ooh.
Very similar to this one.
Exactly.
And
it has carpet. That's
so-
important, we think. Probably.
But yeah, we should be open in roughly a month or so.
Something like
and
that.
if anybody wants to follow the progress, they can go to Area 23 Concord on Facebook or thearea23.com. So
Excellent. We have any beer bills?
There's a whole bunch of beer bills, and I tried to look them up, but none of them are listed. So they've all been. It was a great committee.
They've actually
hearing.
all been exec already, right? We don't even.
Yeah, no, they have. I'm pretty
Really?
sure they have been.
Oh. Wow.
And there are a whole lot of bills. One of them was our perpetual one that we want to have to label freedom, and it was reintroduced by Keith Murphy and kind of changed it so that it gave the Liquor Commission the authority to decide whether a baby eating oatmeal is really a danger to the body public or not. The bill that I introduced a couple years ago was it takes all authority for censorship away from the state whatsoever. But he made it softer. And then Liquor Commission said, we don't want the authority to make that decision. Now, yeah, that's what my eyes look like too. It's like, huh? Really? And he's like, no, we want a clear line, so you tell us what to do. We don't want to make these decisions. That's work. I didn't say that last bit.
No, but...
So then we could have Founders Breakfast Out, and it really is only applied to beer. If you look, there's all kinds of liquor bottles and wine bottles that have children on them. Hey, and Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, right out on a beer label. Just can't, because it depicts a minor, and that's what's against the law. Crazy.
What's crazy is you can't put a picture of a minor with this little headlamp on the bottle of beer, but you can sell things like adult chocolate milk at the liquor store.
And Representative Gidge took one of the Founders bottles that somebody brought with him, and he drew a little mustache on the baby, and he said, okay, now is that an adult now? To the Liquor Commission, and they're like, well, that's kind of above our pay grade.
It's a midget. It's a midget.
He's like, but it still looks like I did try it. I said, it's a midget. It's not really a baby, and they weren't buying it. I was like, you're discriminating against the little people. I don't like it.
And those of us who represent the Lollipop Guild object, sir.
Tell me you have a little problem with that? Or?
Yes. I just have a wee tadger of a problem with that characterization, sir.
How about if you put a mustache and a goatee on the baby? Would that work?
You think, and is it a baby? I don't think so, but that's just me.
It's a
It
doll.
keeps me from getting carded.
It's a
At least I assume
looking-
it's the goatee. that
Maybe.
keeps me from
Maybe
getting
I had a
carded.
friend who was 17 when the drinking age was 18.
Right.
Way back when. And he had a full beard in high school. He never got carded.
Yeah.
Like, he's younger than me!
There's some other bills, and one of them that was to relieve the beer selling. Actually, right now, a store that sells beer and wine is forced to carry $3,000 in groceries in inventory.
Oh, that's right, yep.
So we're
Got
trying to
about
get
10
rid
seconds.
of that. All right. Well, it looks like lots of good things will come out of commerce. We hope.
I hope so. That would be nice change, wouldn't it?
Indeed.
All right. Well, Kirk McNeil and Kevin Boom, thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Coming up next, Dr. Gerard Giannoli, who performs a healthcare practice without accepting any kind of insurance. It's cash for services. We're going to have him on the phone. We're going to talk about that in his Wall Street Journal article. Gentlemen, keep up the good work. Keep the emails coming so we can, keep this business on. All right, this is Grok Talk. We'll be right back.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by saberpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jeanne Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jeanne Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jeanne Shaheen she's made healthcare worse. Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Raw Talk.